it's Steph here, the founder of Host Agency Reviews, and you right now are listening into our Friday 15 lunch break, which is every Friday we take 15 minutes during our lunch break and answer your questions that you've sent in. So every day, Friday, or not every day, every Friday at noon Central Time, join us. If you want to ask questions, go ahead and go to hostagencyreviews.com/events and click on the Friday 15. There you can register your question, or you can also drop them in the comments below. So let's get started. Our first question today is from Julie Bennett. So Julie says, thank you for taking my question. You are more than welcome, Julie. Thank you for asking it. I was thinking of different travel agency names. Travelspot.org is available. What do you think of this name? Does it sound weird? No, it does not. My tagline would be, I'll get you there on the spot. Thank you for any advice you can offer. All right, so let's see. Julie, a couple of things kind of pop into my mind when I was reading your question. So the first thing is we do have a really in-depth article on choosing travel agency names. So I'll link that in the comments below. Mary or April, if you can put our article in there. But that's going to go a lot more in depth than what I can do during this. But here's a few things that popped up for me. The first thing is you were listing a .org domain, which has me thinking that the .com domain is already taken. And I think that's kind of a deal breaker if the .com name is taken. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to go walk you through what I would do if this was my name. So if I'm interested in the travelspot.org, I would type in the travelspot.com and see what pulls up. Okay, so this is taken already. Now you do have the option to purchase or lease it. This is usually not a great deal, and it's usually really expensive, especially if they know that you want it. So because the .org is available, that's great. And you probably think, well, I'll be putting .org on everything, but it can be really confusing for clients. So I would make sure to always get the .com if you can, and buy the .net and the .org. Now, why do I say that? Let me show you why. So reviews, 10 years ago, or however long I bought the domain, didn't buy the .net. So I was like, who looks at the .net? And it's not a big deal, but someone set up hostagencyreviews.net. What they're looking to do is really funnel off my traffic, not that anyone types in .net, and get people to click on these coupons. But that's something to be aware of. So the other thing I do, so let's say the .com is available, I would look up, just Google the travel spot and see what pops up, because this is going to be your competition that you're working with. So let's see. So we have the travelspot site.com, and they look like they do travel. So they're a travel agency. We have travelspot.us to compete against, and it looks like there's a TravelSpot Facebook page to compete with. So what you're looking for here is just kind of seeing what the competition is, because ideally when someone types in your travel agency's name, you want your agency to pull up first for them, and them not to accidentally go to the travelspot.site. So that's something to be aware of, and another like check against the travel spot. The other thing you want to take a peek at is, and I can never remember the exact address. So what I would do is just Google USPTO, I think. Yeah, the Trademark Search. So this is the United States Patent and Travel Office. So let's see. Here we go. Search the trademark database. Now, what you're going to do in here is search TESS, which is their trademark database. And you're going to start by using the broadest thing. So instead of writing the travel spot in here, let's do a basic word mark search. And for the search term, I'm just going to put in travel spot. And so let's see what comes out. Now, this is a little bit kind of confusing to look at, but essentially what we're looking at is, are there any live trademarks on the words that we're looking for? So The travelspot.us. This is what I'm curious about, if it's live or dead. And we can see that it's live here. So if you click on this, it gives you more information on what the trademark is on. And they're providing online agencies, travel agency services. So because of this reason, again, I would shy away from it. And if you're thinking, oh, but mine is the travel spot and it's not .us, just kind of a cautionary tale, and one that I go over in the article, is there's G Adventures, which is a tour operator that does does packages all across the world. And they started off being Gap Adventures, but what happened maybe 10 or 15 years ago, Gap, the clothing store, went after them and said, you're violating our trademark on the word Gap, even though it was Gap Adventures. So two totally different, it's a totally different actual title, and that they're nothing to do with each other. So no one's going to go into the Gap clothing store and think they're going into Gap Adventures. But essentially what happened in the end was the court sided with Gap, and G Adventures went ahead and had to become G Adventures and Steph Adventures. So that's why I say check out the trademarks, make sure everything looks kosher there. And then if everything looks good and the domains are available, to reserve everything you can. So thanks again for writing in. Now our next question, let me turn off my screen here, my screen share. All right, our next question comes from Lisa Sosaman, and she is saying, I'm looking for a Disney host agency. What do you recommend? So, couple things off that. Let's see. So, Linda, I would say the first thing is host agency reviews. We always shy away from recommending any host agencies just because it is such a personal decision. And I'll have Mary and April, if you wouldn't mind posting the tips to finding a host agency article in there. That'll walk you through kind of narrowing down which host agency is the best fit for you, because you're going to be able to, you know better what's important to you than I do. So the other thing I want to clarify is that if you're looking for a Disney host agency, when I hear this question, I kind of interpret it two ways. The first one is that you're looking for a host agency where you can book Disney at. And if that's the case, any host agency can book Disney. They just need the accreditation number. One thing you also might want to know is that with Disney, across host agencies, it's a little bit different than other vendors. So usually other vendors are tiered. So if you sell more of a vendor, you're going to make a higher commission. With Disney, if you're doing Disneyland and Disney World, it's a flat 10% commission no matter where you go. So it's not like you're going to get more commission if you go with one host agency versus another, if they're large or they're small. The other way to interpret your question is, if you're looking for a Disney host agency, is you want to be surrounded by Disney enthusiasts. And we all know what the Disney enthusiasts are. They're people that love Disney, live, eat, breathe Disney, go there multiple times a year with their family, and you want to be in with that culture. And that's very different, because there are some host agencies that specialize in that. So let me, again, share my screen, and let's go to host agency reviews, and we'll go to the host agency page, and there's a couple things. So again, let's take a look at KHM. So on every profile, the host agencies put in kind of their focuses. So if they sell Disney and that's a focus of theirs, you'll see Disney on there. Now, does that mean they're like everyone's Disney enthusiast? Not necessarily. But if you are looking for those hardcore Disney agencies, what I found is Disney is usually somehow alluded to in the name. They can't legally use Disney or anything that's trademarked with Disney. But here, let's go through. So for instance, here, Magical Moments Vacations, that is a Disney agency. You can see like with the wand and the stars and the word magical, 114 reviews. So that's one of our Disney focused agencies that are all in on Disney. And I usually just actually go through the list and I can pick them out pretty quickly. So Destination with Characters is one. Magical Hosts. MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel is another one. So those I think are actually, it's kind of crazy how quickly I can scroll through this and find them. But yeah, I think those are the Wishing Star Concierge, except for no reviews there. Yeah, so those are ones that I would take a look at if you're looking for very all in on Disney type of things. So that hopefully answers your question on that. Let me take this off. And then we have one last question today. And this is going to be a lot of acronyms, but they are asking what kind of travel agency accreditation numbers are out there. So the short answer to that is there's quite a few. And let me think of the easiest way to explain this. So, well, actually, let me share my screen because we're going to, there's a great resource on our site. Let's go. So if you type in accreditation up here, this will lead you to our travel agency accreditation article. And the reason I want to do this is there's a great flow chart here that will ask you questions on and kind of help you find which is the best accreditation number for you. Now, again, if you're with a host agency, your host agency is going to have their own accreditation number already, and that's what you're using. So you don't need to worry about this. This is for someone that's looking to get their own accreditation and go off on their own. Let me see if I can, hold on, this might take a second. I want to share with you the download. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that might take a little bit too much right now. So the download, though, is really helpful with the flow chart. But here's big picture on travel agency accreditation options. The accreditation number is a 7-digit number that you give vendors so that they can recognize you as a travel agency and know where to pay commissions, what commission level you're at, and all those sorts of things. Now, some host agency or some travel agencies, I should say, have multiple accreditation numbers, but they are the exact same number. So that 7-digit number, if you have an ARC, an IATA, and a CLIA number, the same 7 digits are what you're going to use. They cross over between the different accreditation companies. So let me start with the oldest accreditations. So these were the first accreditations that's out there. They're ARC, which is the Airline Reporting Corporation, and IATA, which is like the International Airline Transport Association, I think. And those are the two numbers that agencies have been using for decades. And that was when air, like booking air only reservations, was a big part of what travel agencies did. So the key to know about IATA and ARC numbers are they allow you to ticket air only in the GDS system. And we will link to, in the comments, our article on what a GDS is, if you're not familiar with it. But for most of you, if you are new, the IATA and the ARC number are not something that you need, nor will you get. So those, a lot of agencies aren't getting anymore. There are a lot of legacy agencies that are using those. Now, ARC started to realize a lot of agencies weren't booking air only anymore and weren't using the GDS system. So they came up with kind of a ARC light number, if you will. So that's called the VTC, or the Verified Travel Consultant, the VTC number. And so the VTC number is for non-air ticketing in the GDS system. So if you're just booking leisure vacations, you can use that to be recognized by vendors. Now, let's bring in the cruise lines, because the cruise lines also had something where agencies started booking more cruises and weren't using the GDS system. So the cruise lines came up with the CLIA number, and that is, again, it's a non-GDS, so you can't book in the GDS air tickets, but you can book anything pretty much with a CLIA. It's very similar to the ARC and the IATA number. And let's see, there's one other one to mention that's more common too, and that is CCRA's true number. The true number, again, it's 7 digits. It's accepted almost everywhere. There's a few places it isn't accepted. I believe one of them is you're not able to book Marriott. And I believe another thing to be aware of with it is that you're not able to get Disney rates, travel agent rates with it. And I don't know that for certain. That used to be the way it was, but just off my top of my head, that's what I remember. So if anyone has any feedback on that, if I'm wrong in that, please put that in the comments. And I'll also go back to CCRA and ask about their true number and those things. And if you can book Marriott and you can get those discounts, I'll put something in the comments. So that's kind of the dealio on accreditation numbers. There's quite a few options out there, but honestly, if you're brand new and getting started, a great way to get into things is going with the host agency. You're going to get those higher commissions. They're going to have all of the supplier connections that you're looking for that you don't have to. Because one thing when you get your own accreditation number is every single vendor you use, you have to send in paperwork with your new accreditation number and get set up as a travel agency with them. When you go with a host agency, they're already set up and it's just like smooth sailing. And as you become more experienced and your sales grow, you can always go off and get your own accreditation number and kind of use a host as a springboard to that. So think of that as an option. And let's see, I think that about wraps up our 15 minutes. So thank you everyone for joining us. Again, this is our Friday 15 lunch break. So every Friday at noon Central Time, we'll be taking your questions that you've submitted and giving you answers to them. So you can go ahead and go to hostagencyreviews.com/events and click on the Friday 15 to register your question, or you can just place them in the comments below. So thank you so much, everybody. Happy weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.